Those Alright. Hello, hello. What's up? What's up? So you guys can hear me? Mic test 1, 2, 3. Let me know if you guys can hear me. Hello, Gorio. Welcome, welcome. Bleeding out. Speaking, but I don't know if you guys can hear me. So mic test. All right. Okay. So welcome. Today will be all right. Cool. Thank you. So today we'll cover basic setup, which is basically tire alignment for the car, and then a bit of dampers and also the differential. So I'll get started. So actually for tire alignment, we won't be using Motec. I'll start with Motec because actually the first thing that I would like to cover is about dampers. And dampers, we need Motec. No other way, just Motec. It would be very easy to do. Sorry, 1 second. I'm hearing myself, which is quite annoying. Let me just make the settings. 1 second, yeah. Some reason I'm hearing myself again, so I don't really like that. Okay, never mind. Easy way. I'll just take it off. Right. So dampers is the first thing that we'll cover, and dampers will use Motec. And then for tire alignment, which is camber, toe, and a bit about caster, that I won't use ACC because I can't run ACC and stream at the same time. Computer's a bit slow, so I will use a screenshot, and then based on the screenshot I'll just show you guys, and then you guys can ask away if you guys have any questions. And then lastly, differential. Differential, I don't have any screenshots or any Motec data, but I'll just cover the basics of what it is and what you guys can expect from it. Okay, so let's get started, I guess. Dampers. If you guys watched the first live stream, we covered about dampers, and dampers, basically to see dampers is in the histogram. Let me close this and then just open one file. So, and for me, what I like to do is to do 1 or 2 laps in the car, and it has to be clean laps and taking the line that I would take. You don't have to go fast to find out the dampers, but generally you want to go, if you plan on taking on the curbs, you go on the curbs. Maybe you drive about 75%, and then you just drive the line that you want to take when you're racing. Because at the end of the day, you just want the suspension data, and that is the bumps that you go through when you're racing. And this is sort of what I did. And the NSX is a very good car if you guys want to play around with dampers, because the default aggressive damper setting is very twitchy. It is very stiff, and so because if a damper is very stiff, you get this high peaks like this, and what you feel in the car is that you feel that the car is very twitchy. When you press the brakes, when you press the accelerator, you feel that the car is doing something that you're not comfortable. Like you, easiest way is that you teragak-agak, like don't know what the car is going to do. You press the brakes and then suddenly you feel like the car is like moving about and not it's not stable. It acts very weird, and if you don't have confidence to do anything with the car, you can't turn the car because with a very stiff dampers, the car is very responsive, and because it's very responsive, the car is very sensitive to your inputs. So if you're very hello Cessna 190, welcome. So if you are very if you're still not smooth on your inputs, hello Brendan, welcome. So I'm just covering dampers now, and I'm talking about now a very stiff dampers. Yeah, so very stiff dampers, if you're not smooth on your inputs, you can feel it, and the car will be very sensitive to it. And the NSX, again, if you guys want, you can try in the Monza default aggressive. Try driving the car, don't change any of the damper settings, and just drive the car, and you feel that the car is very twitchy, and it's very twitchy, and you can't even take the curbs, right? And if you look at the Motec data, you see that the front is very stiff, the rear is a bit soft, which is fine, it's not going to kill you, but the front is very stiff, and it's very stiff in the low speed regions, which means that under braking and under acceleration, the car is going to be very, very twitchy. And maybe for some of you, you might be fine, and like Faiz, what you're on about, the car feels fine. Then that means you have a very smooth input application. But if you're like me, I'm very rough. Like I press the brakes and then I let it go quite aggressively. So the car does not like that if it's on this very stiff setting. Yeah? So that's why for me, I like to make this a bit lower. I'll bring this down, and to bring this down is basically just to reduce the damper settings, so from a high setting to a lower value. And keep in mind that the car in the game, most of them are using Öhlins dampers. So even if you're using 0 settings, like the softest possible settings in the game, it's still going to be very stiff compared to our normal car that we drive daily. So don't be afraid and say like, and in your head going like, oh, I'm using the softest settings, like it's not going to be fast. It doesn't really matter if you're not going to be fast if you can't control the car. At the end of the day, you want to be able to drive the car around the track, and if you can't do it, then why make yourself difficult and just use a lower setting, like a softer settings, that you can, at least you can drive the car. And for dampers, really, if you guys like, me telling you about the dampers is not going to be very easy for you. What I can suggest for dampers, this is the default aggressive Honda NSX in Monza. This is how it looks like, and you can try driving it. And for me, the car is very twitchy, so I don't like it. And then I've posted in the ACC Kopitiam Discord channel of a damper setting that I personally use for Monza at the moment, and the damper change is not much. So here's the comparison. So I've reduced the overall peak, so from above 15 to slightly less. Like you see, it's a slight drop. It's not even a lot, right? But generally it's lower, and I've stiffened the back a bit, just by a tiny bit. And try driving with the default aggressive, and try driving with the damper settings that I've posted in ACC Kopitiam. and you guys can feel the difference. Like you guys can feel the difference between the two settings. The changes are very minimal, but you guys can try it. Had a short race yesterday, and a couple of guys were saying like, with the default aggressive, they can't take the corners, or they feel the car very twitchy, like how I felt it. And then afterwards, when they tried my settings, and they said, yeah, now I can drive the car and it feels quite great. Yeah. Tak faham apa-apa, alamak. Um, Part apa yang tak faham? Come, let's help. Tak faham pasal dampers ke, ataupun tak faham what you're seeing on the screen at the moment? Yep. So this is dampers, bahagian dampers, and this is the damper histogram. So damper histogram, it's basically it's the view that you get specifically if you want to tune dampers, right? Dampers, dampers is it's really hard to describe how big of a change a dampers change can make to how you feel the car. If you feel, because it's very abstract, when we're in a car, if the damper is wrong or is not correct, we would know it. If you ride a motorbike, if the damper is, or the springs is too hard, you feel like the motorbike's gonna toss you away. If it's too soft, you feel like the motorbike's gonna not take the corner well. In a car, if the damper is too soft, you feel the bounce going up and down. Like if you go through a pothole, you feel the car going boing 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 until it comes to its normal position. If it's too stiff, you feel the bump really hard, and then you go, and then it abruptly stop. So that's a too hard damper settings. But in the game, because we don't have this feeling, you won't be able to notice it that much. You won't be able to visually detect it, but you can feel it when you drive in the sim. And this is what I'm saying. It's really hard to explain if a damper is too stiff for you or if it's just right. And the best example so far that I have is the Honda NSX. Honda NSX Evo. Just drive it in Monza with the default aggressive, and if you feel like you can't drive the car, then that means the damper is too stiff. And this is how you see if the damper is too stiff. So for me, my personal, like, looking at the Motec data in the suspension histogram, and if you're not sure how to get this, you can check the first episode, and then it'll we have a part of how to set this up and how to get this view. But for me, if the damper values are, the histogram and the peak is somewhat above 15, for me that is too stiff. That is my reference point at the moment, and yours could be different. You might feel that even 13 or 12 is still too stiff, which is fine. And you can change then the damper values to be softer or harder. And if you feel like 15 is still okay, you can even go higher. And this is all personal preference, but you have to first try out and feel, get this feeling of how the dampers can change. And the best one is really the Honda NSX that I said just now in Monza, because I've already got a settings that I've shared in ACC Kopitiam, and then you can have a look and you can try with the default aggressive and then just change the dampers, because then you can, because it's really hard for me to explain. So if you drive it, you can really feel it. and then you can appreciate, oh, changing the dampers actually really changed the behavior of the car. And the damper settings, firstly, it changes the car from being very sensitive to your user inputs to being a bit um, it gives you a bit more safety margin so that you can be a bit more aggressive in your inputs, and the car will not be unsettled and unhappy about it. Yeah, does that help a bit, Cessna? So for now, that is the damper settings. I know it's not a lot to go by. Or x-axis. Uh, so this is bins. It's a histogram. It's basically taking this this plot, which is the damper velocities for the whole lap, and then it creates a histogram based on these values. So the x-axis is range of speed of the damper velocities. So this one is 0 to I think the bin setting is 50, so 0 to 50, 0 to 25, 20 minus 25, and then this one is 25 to 75 millimeters per second, and then so on and so forth. So it gets progressively faster as you go away from the 0 point, which is in the center. So this is the front axis, and this is front left, front right. Tahu tak apa? And then this is the percentage. So if you sum everything up here, it'll be 100%. And then this is how many percent in that lap that the damper velocities is in that region between minus 25 and 25, 25 to 75, for example, in this. So for example, in this minus 25 to 25, it's about 15%. And then in this region, it's only 13% out of the lap. Okay. It's a histogram. You can also, yeah. So generally the shape like this is very stiff for me. Ideally you want a symmetrical shape, but it is okay for the rebound to be slightly stiffer. So it is okay that this stiffer, this side is a bit higher compared to the bump, but you want to be, so ideally you want to be like this bell curve, right? And it's not like menajam and like pointy at the top in the middle. If it's slight, like this top one, it's slightly skewed to the rebound, skewed to the bump because the bump is higher. It's still okay. This is still fine, because it doesn't differ much. A really bad one is, for example, you have a sudden peak here and then it goes down and then it comes back up again. Then that is the asymmetry that you want to avoid. But if it's still a bell-shaped curve, it's still fine. Yeah. Now, the thing about dampers is that at first, personally, I would use it to control the behavior of the car, that is being from very responsive to user inputs to being a bit more relaxed, and that it's not too sensitive. But dampers actually, the thing about dampers is it doesn't change the overall grip that the car has. The dampers really only change how fast the grip point moves from the front wheels to the rear wheels, and from the left side of the car to the right side of the car. It doesn't change. So you have to keep in mind that dampers do not change the amount of grip that the car has. It only changes how quickly the grip moves from one position of the car to another position. Okay, and because you're not changing the amount of grip that you have, you're only changing how fast or how slow the grip, from having grip at the front to moving to the rear. It is really a powerful tool to sort of control the behavior of the car. And you can, so once you have a stable car that you're comfortable with, and you find that maybe you're oversteering out of a corner every single time that you're oversteering out of a corner, for example, or you know that your throttle application, you mash the throttle pedal 100% and traction control is not enough to control the wheel speed. You can even use dampers to sort of slow down the rate that the weight moves from the front of the car to the rear of the car, so that the oversteer can be controlled. And it only takes 1 or 2 clicks, not a lot, but it changes the behavior of the car a lot. Yeah, but this is more advanced. For now, if you guys want, you can try the Honda, like I said just now, just to appreciate the feeling of having too stiff and something that's a bit softer. This one is related to both fast and slow settings. So how you know which one to change. So you see generally the one in the middle. This one is mainly the slow settings, and the outside is usually the fast settings. Yeah, and this workbook, it's only an estimation that this line here is fast. Sorry, everything outside this gray area is fast, and everything inside is slow. It's only an approximation. So you might say, like, I want to increase this region here. You can raise both the fast and slow settings so that the graph then moves higher. But whether or not, if you only change the fast settings, you might see that, it changes mainly outside here, but not this region that you want to change. This is more of a trial and error. But if you know, like, the peak here, so for example, this 15, I know I want to bring it down, so I reduce the slow settings. And then if it's here, outside here, where I see, okay, there's nothing, which is not a problem. But if I want to change it, for example, I then change the fast settings, because generally, if it's not where this gray line ends, this is normally the fast already, and this is, I would change the fast settings for this region here outside. And if you want to know if you have to change the bump or the rebound, everything on the right hand side is bump, everything on the left hand side is rebound. So this would be the slow rebound, fast rebound, slow bump, fast bump, this region. Any other questions about dampers for now? If not, then I will move now. Hello, testing.